Asmathguru Namaha. Today let's talk why do we consider biology as a subject for first PU or for 11th standard. Up to 10th you would have studied many different subjects apart from biology, that is physics, chemistry, mathematics and so on. But when you have to decide about your PU or your 11th standard, you should decide which is the combination which you prefer. Either it is science, arts or commerce. When we are talking about science, now we have different combinations. The foremost one being physics, chemistry, mathematics and biology. Now apart from that, we know that we have physics, chemistry, mathematics, computer science as well as electronics instead of biology. Why should we consider biology? As a bio teacher, I can just tell you the subjects which are present and what all the topics which we will be studying. But as a student, why should you select this subject biology? Here, most of the students, usually those who take up biology, they don't become doctors. Many of them, 90% of the students, they take up many different forms of their professional courses. Either it may be engineering, or it may be pure sciences, or they may also go for paramedical courses. There are many more to come. But you students, when you are taking up biology, why should we just study with respect to medicine, or should we also study with respect to our life lessons? Because biology is involved in our life, like how we tell chemistry is involved. Similarly, physics. Now biology is also involved. How is it involved? Now I'll take you through a few steps over here. Whenever we are talking about food, the first and the foremost necessity of a human being, it involves biology. From the time a farmer, he starts to sow the seed up to the harvesting process, that whole process will be understood better, yes, by the aspects of biology. Similarly, when we are moving forward in this century, here we are using different technologies, biotechnology, microbiology to enhance our food production, to enhance the quality of food production. All these different aspects of biology come into picture. As a biology student, apart from studying the detailed aspects of each and every organism, including humans, where you're going to write the competitive exams and get into the medical or other professional courses, here we should also study with respect to nature, because nature always gives us the aesthetic pleasure. Therefore, with respect to food, with respect to nature, with respect to the balance in the ecosystems, because survival is utmost important. When all of us survive, coexist together, then we have a balanced ecosystem. To understand all these intricacies, we should understand biology. Therefore, as a student, instead of just focusing on the subject to get into any professional courses or maybe into pure sciences, you should also know different aspects which will help us to evolve as a better human being, to respect more of our nature, to know the food which we are eating and also how to prepare. Now, with this small introduction, I would like to go through the few chapters which are there in your syllabus. When we are talking about your first PU syllabus, we start with the first chapter, that is the living world. While studying the living world, you study about the characters of living and non-living organisms. All of you know that there are many differentiating characters of both living and non-living organisms. Here, I would like to just point out one character. I feel it is very important, and as human beings we should know. The most important character of a living being is the presence of consciousness. Because of this particular character, consciousness, we are different from the other animals, plants, etc. We know what will happen if we do something, the repercussions of anything which not to be done. Therefore, consciousness is very important. Why have they introduced these parameters in the first chapter itself? Because we have been studying the features of living and the non-living organisms since our pre-KG level. Here, we are going to connect it to our second PU certain topics like that of biotechnology, where we are going to manipulate plants, animals for the benefit of mankind. Therefore, there arises ethical issues. Therefore, when we study the consciousness here, like how we are differentiated from the other organisms, we can know how to manipulate a plant or an animal for our benefit. Therefore, they have introduced these characters of both living and the non-living organisms, which you will be studying in detail. The next chapter will be biological classification. As a biology student, you should know how to classify an organism. Here, the aspects of how to identify, classify, name an organism will be dealt in detail, and how the systems of classification is also studied here. What system are we following today? What systems were followed before and how it got evolved? We are going to study here with examples, including humans, Homo sapiens, how to write the scientific name correctly. All these things will be studied in the second chapter, that is biological classification. Not only humans, animals, plants, microorganisms, their identifying, naming, everything will be studied in this particular chapter. The next is the plant kingdom. Here, in school also you have studied the 5 kingdom systems of classification, how 1, 2, 3, later on the more evolved is the 5 kingdom system of classification, which was proposed by Whittaker. In this 5 kingdom system of classification, we are going to start from kingdom Monera, Protista, Mycota, Metaphyta and Metazoa. So in these 5 kingdoms, we are going to focus on Monera, Protista, Mycota, Metaphyta. And in Metaphyta, again, we have subdivisions like that of bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. In detail, we are going to study the characters of each and every division which is present here with examples, and how an unicellular organism has been evolved to give rise to an organ system of an organism. It may be a multicellular organism or an organ system of organism. The next chapter here deals with the animal kingdom. Again, we are going to start with the animals which are unicellular, move on from the basics to the more advanced animals, and study the different phylum which they are involved with respect to the characters. Now, why are we studying this plant kingdom and animal kingdom, starting from the basics like that of unicellular organisms to up to those of multicellular or organ-based organisms? Because we have a chapter called as evolution in second PU, where we are going to talk about the process of evolution, how the earth, the organisms on the earth, how they evolved. For that, we should know like the evolution of both the plants and the animals, how the different systems, for example, the digestive system, when we are talking about amoeba, and how has it evolved up to humans. All these can be studied here, which we are going to connect it in the second PU syllabus, where we have a chapter called as evolution. The next is structural organization in animals, that is again how the development of different systems came into existence. The different cells, the tissues, all these will be studied even with respect to animals. Why should we study here? Because in the coming year, that is the next year in second PU, you will be studying about the different organs, their secretions, with respect to the human system. Therefore, to understand that, we should know the basics, the cells, tissues, the organs, their secretions, etc. To understand cell biology, we should know the molecules which are involved here. Those are called as biomolecules. Why do we call them as biomolecules? Though we are talking about like that of nucleic acids. These biomolecules are important in all the reactions. If you are talking about photosynthesis or respiration, or we are talking about mineral nutrition in plants, or in the next year we are studying about the human reproduction, the reproductive health. All these chapters, we are going to study certain hormones, enzymes which are involved, protein synthesis, all these involve biomolecules. To know some of the molecular structures, to know the compounds which are involved, which acts as a catalyst, which acts as an enzyme, to have that knowledge, we have to study about the biomolecules. We are not talking about all the molecules, the chemical compounds here. We are talking about only those molecules which are involved in our life processes. Moving on, we are going to start with the human physiology. Now, in case of human physiology, we are going to study different systems of human physiology, starting with digestion, the process of digestion in humans. How does it occur? The enzymes which are involved in the process of digestion will be studied in this chapter. The next will be the circulatory system. We are going to study about the structure of heart, how the blood, the impure blood will be purified. Next will be the respiratory system. We are going to study the structure of lungs, how we breathe in, breathe out, how we take in oxygen, give out carbon dioxide. Now all this will be studied in this particular chapter. Apart from this, we are also going to study about the excretory system, study about the kidneys, the nephrons, how the excretory system functions, how our excreta is thrown out of our body. And in the next chapter, we are going to deal with the nervous system, how the neurons are going to the central nervous system, the neurons, they control the actions of our body. And here, these central nervous system or the neurons which we are talking about, it is very important while we are studying the second PU chapter, namely human health and diseases, or it may be the human reproduction chapter. Because when we are talking about the human reproduction, again, many hormones are involved. How these hormones are secreted, how do they affect each and every system of our body will be studied in our last chapter, that is the coordination, chemical coordination. Each gland, what do they secrete, and those enzymes, where do they help? Why should we study all these? As I said before, it is with respect to your second PU syllabus where we should know these hormones, how do they control about the changes which occur in our body. At the last, I would like to tell that being a biology student, please don't have any inhibitions whenever we are talking about the processes which involves certain delicate aspects like that of reproduction. When we are talking about your first few chapters, we start with asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction or vegetative reproduction with respect to the microorganisms, algae, fungi, going on with the kingdom Plantae, Animalia, etc. And these hormones in the last chapter, what I spoke about, they will be very important to understand the changes which occur in our human body, the functions which take place in the human body.